This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
Listening to Adaptation Decay, the premium Patreon show, where we look at how people have adapted video games to different media and have failed to do so primarily with some exceptions.
Some exceptions, yes. And this month we are doing something that I think is an inspired choice, Gary. We're talking about the album Pac-Man Fever by Buckner and Garcia.
Yeah, this came to me as an idea at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. They're playing the 1982 novelty hit of the same name, Pac-Man Fever, and it made me recall my brief fascination with this band in my mid-20s. Can I have the floor and give a little background of my relationship with both Buckner and Garcia?
Yes, you may, because my story is probably the same kind of Sean Baby irony that everybody has.
I didn't find out about it through Sean Baby. I think because when I was little, I remember Pac-Man Fever from being a kid. It was on the jukebox at the laundromat in Aurora, Illinois. And there was a pinball machine that was set to free play. And there was a vending machine that had like coffee, hot chocolate, and then like soup. It was one of those things.
Oh, yeah, the terrible soup that smells like fish water. Yeah,
it is. I think it is fish water. It's like warm fish, warm nutrient broth.
There's this one fish that they keep inside there that the hot water runs through.
A tank, it's just like that's where he lives. And it just permeates him. And then a jukebox. There that had Pac-Man Fever. So I always wanted quarters to listen to Pac-Man Fever because it had to do with video games. Flash forward 20 years or so, and something happened, and I don't remember what it was. It was not Sean Baby, because I have to look at this. I did not know Sean Baby wrote about this.
No, I just the Sean Baby flavor of like, hey, isn't this ridiculous video game culture kind of stuff? Yeah.
But I remembered it, and I was like, looked it up online. It was the first time I had internet, or one of the early times where I had internet on my home, and then saw there was a whole album, and I was like, oh, I gotta have this, because like these are a bunch of songs about 1980s arcade games, and I bet you it's ridiculous. And then I got it, and it was, and I was very evangelical to my friends about it, none of which who thought it was as funny as I did. And I kept trying to get my band to cover it during our Halloween cover show. I was like, no, we have to be Buckner and Garcia this year. It'll be amazing.
To just play the entire thing as a 35-minute set.
Yeah, like let's just learn all these songs, and then in the middle of any show, like we can whip out Centipede and just like be the fucking weirdest shit. And nobody was down for it. Like I couldn't convince anybody to do it. It was just me alone being like, no, but like, are you hearing this shit? Like it goes on for 4 minutes. Why? It just didn't work. So them playing it just made me think about this, and I don't think we're gonna get a lot of chances to do like a CD.
No,
on this. This is a rarity.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a rarity among the genres, but like I think it's something that people really know about.
Oh, Pac-Man Fever, totally.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that many people know about like the album though.
True.
Like people have heard Defender. Like not that many, right? Like it is a weird artifact. Not just the Pac-Man Fever part, but the fact that they actually decided to make an album rather than just like a single.
The fact that they were shanghaied and put into a room and were forced to make the album.
Yeah, we need an album. Let's go roving the arcades at night to try to find a game that we think we might be able to write a song about. Put $10 into it to master it and then write this song.
Yeah,
which is actually what they did, which I know as a member of the Buckner and Garcia fan club,
which you signed up. You signed up to 5 minutes before we started recording.
Yeah. But I started trying to sign up for about an hour. Big shout out to Mike at Audios, whatever the tech support guy who helped me log into the Fever Vault.
I love that. Oh, I'm writing that down in my notebook here as a good name for a place and a thing.
Yeah, the Fever Vault. Big shout out to Mike at internetaudioguy.com for helping me log in. And it means I get access to a lot of exclusive stuff as a Pac-Man Fever fan club member. It's $4.99. However, that offer can expire at any time. And you get pretty much everything Buckner and Garcia have ever done. Like some of which you can find on YouTube, some of which you can't though. So it is, if you're a Buckner and Garcia, diehard, like much like somebody other than myself, this will be very useful to you.
This has to exist for somebody. Like it
Yeah.
can't
Oh,
be.
it can't just be. And I got it because it was $4.99, and I thought that was a good price to pay to have information in this episode that I wouldn't ordinarily have.
Right.
But if you want this album and you don't want to just YouTube it or Apple Music it, this is a cheap way to get this album, which I do think is weird and funny enough to listen to.
Yes. And if a song drags on too long, just skip it.
And they all do.
Yep.
every song has a point. Like every single one of them has a second mark that is the legitimate, like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like thing that happens, and I'm so there for it. Like just look over at my music playing device and be like, yeah, all right.
Just picture being in a room, like, hey, listen to this, sit them down, and just like staring at them intensely.
Yeah, just like no, we have to get to all all the time, and all these songs feel like about twice as long as they are too.
Yeah,
like they're very so a lot of it is just kind of boilerplate, I guess nonsense, right? Like
yeah,
a lot of them are kind of homages to other songs. But each and every one of them is kind of also underwritten, where like they go on and have lots of repeated verses and such.
Yeah,
for reasons that I can't ascertain.
I mean, I'm generally willing to write off a lot of stuff to laziness.
Yeah.
Like it's already a very svelte album. Like I know albums have gotten longer in the interim, but like 35 minutes, that barely fills up one side of a record.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, it's a thing, man.
Yeah, it certainly is. There's one track here where, let me see here. Oh, this song lasts for about 4 hours, and that is "Ode to a Centipede" is what I wrote down.
God, that goes places though.
Yep.
It is about 4 hours. That was the one of them that I kept saying was like an extremely funny song to my friends. And they just didn't have the patience to get to why it was funny, I feel like.
Oh, it's extremely funny, and we're gonna talk about it in specifics.
It's my least favorite song on this album. Like, but I'd say probably quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a roughie.
Yeah, I think that Mousetrap is the nadir, but
Mousetrap is also real rough as well.
Yeah, I would definitely cut that from this bad boy.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, I mean, we'll get to all of it, and so this will be possibly a fairly svelte episode of this show.
Mm-hmm.
And that is fine.
Yeah,
that will have to be okay because it's we're talking about an 8-song album, but it is definitely it's not unnoteworthy. Like I do not feel weird or bad about doing that because it is noteworthy. Is the name of the game here.
Yeah, and if I'm, being honest, I'm a little bit insecure about this. Like, hey, how can an album be an adaptation of a video game? Yes, this is historically noteworthy. However, these songs, in terms of their lyrics, like it feels like they are trying to make a walkthrough of the games.
It is an adaptation of a video game.
Yeah, when you talk about the Worlds of Power books. Wait, which is the one you made up? Power Worlds. When you talk about the Worlds of Power books and you say they adapted baseball and it's just a description of a baseball game, these songs, for the majority of them, if they have any point of view, if they have any character, the majority of their actual content or let's say incident is just describing which direction things move in the game.
Yeah, it is like the Centipede talks about things that happen in Centipede.
Right.
Berserk talks about things that happen in Berserk, for the most part. Like Donkey Kong doesn't talk about that much about what I mean. There's some liberties taken with Do the Donkey Kong, but there's a bunch of these are audio walkthroughs in a way.
Yeah.
And just reading, getting the fan club. So on the fan club for this, they have little introductions they do for each song, where it's the surviving Buckner and Garcia, and he's talking about their process. And that thing I said a little while ago is literally true, where they made Pac-Man Fever. The record company wanted an album, so they would be like, okay, well, we probably know Donkey Kong. Let's write a song about that. What's popular? But then they would go and what's popular at the arcade?
Yeah.
Oh shit, a bunch of people are playing Mousetrap. let's master Mousetrap. Which they didn't need to do, but they would play Mousetrap a lot. Mm-hmm. In order to make a song that has a series of lines that is like a cat will eat a mouse, a dog will eat a cat, or something like that. Like there's a thing about dogs eating cats in that song, which I didn't know Mousetrap. I watched some YouTube footage of it in preparation for this, and boy, no cats get eaten.
No,
in Mousetrap.
Yeah. So like if you look at their hit rate, like pretty much every game that they talk about is noteworthy, like notable, like we know it, except for Mousetrap. Mousetrap, I've never played. I have no idea what that is.
Well, is hyperspace a game, or is he talking about going into hyperspace and asteroids?
Asteroids. Hyperspace is about asteroids. Yeah.
I was 90% sure of that.
Yeah.
Like I just thought maybe there would be some kind of game called hyperspace that I didn't know.
Like the only one of these that I think outside of Mousetrap that would be considered obscure would be Berserk a little bit, but that's just because it wasn't remade to hell and back.
Yeah. Which is weird because it is the dual stick shooter.
Yes.
Like it's the reason why we have that genre. So
yeah,
more or less, if there's some obscure example on a gigantic computer at a college campus at MIT, don't at me, but it is a very early and popular dual stick shooter.
Yes.
So yeah, and there's a lot to so this is going to be about this album and a little bit just about these dudes as well. Their website is such a treat. Cole.
Yep. Oh no, I've been we took a little break before we recorded. We talked about some business and I have been poking around it. I'm disappointed that the songs and stories section, everything appears to be missing content. So need to contact webmaster at what?
Well, that's because you have to be a member.
Oh, dang.
Get into the songs and stories, weirdly enough. There is a songs and stories section, but it's members only. Did you click on the link on here for Pac-Man Coffee Cup?
Yes, I did.
Which is a web page that has a link, a broken link.
Yeah, so this is in the top nav. It's like home, dashboard, full CD, and then Pac-Man Coffee Cup.
Yeah. It's ranked before personal appearances. I mean, it's in alphabetical order, but it looks like it's ranked before personal appearances, pictures. Shirts is Pac-Man Coffee Cup, which is just a link that says, if you're a video game nerd like me, you love drinking your coffee out of this cool Pac-Man coffee cup.
It makes it taste like video games.
Work. Like the link doesn't work, but I can imagine a Pac-Man coffee cup. Like we live in a post-Think Geek world,
right?
It's so cute. He's extremely quaint to me. Did you go to Dick Clark on there? That link?
No, I did not.
So Dick
I didn't
Clark
see it. It's below there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I guess his own link. It's just his little eulogy for Dick Clark. It's like it's two paragraphs and a couple odd sentences.
Yeah.
Oh, just missing Dick Clark.
Yeah, Dick Clark was the consummate pro and a real gentleman. He will be missed.
Yeah, I mean, not to be argued with, but does that deserve a place of such prominence?
It seems like a blog post. It doesn't seem like something you put in the top nav.
Like a section of your website. If you go to shirts and stuff, it is literally just every shirt you can imagine. With cursive script on the front that just says, I've got a pocket full of quarters and I'm headed to the arcade in cursive. And that's every single shirt that they've made.
Yep.
Just really very, very fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, on one hand, rink-a-dink, on the other, quaint and cute.
Yeah. I think pretty charming.
Yeah.
These guys, trying to stick with, internet culture.
Yeah.
Kind of after the
Here's how sad. I don't know why, but this actually strikes me as kind of sad. The top nav link that says buy CDs. There's just one thing. It's Pac-Man Fever 30th anniversary CD.
Anniversary. If you go to their bio, one of the subsections under bio is Soapbox Derby. Help save the All-American Soapbox Derby.
Okay.
And it's just him trying to save the Derby.
The thing Boy Scouts do.
Yeah, that sounds like it. An effort has been made by the city of Akron and actor-director Corbin Burnson to save the Derby through a film called 25 Hill. Former residents of Akron, songwriters Gary Garcia and Jerry Buckner of Pac-Man Fever, WKRP in Cincinnati, decided to help composing a song called Keeping the Dream Alive. So that is why it's in their bio.
Yeah.
It's extremely, it is a website. It is a website.
Yeah. It certainly is. It definitely has the there's a little bit of crick appeal to this, if I'm being honest.
Oh yeah. Like this feels like the closest to an abject suffering.
Yeah.
That the show is gonna get.
Yeah.
Because this is the kind of thing that would just be a dream to stumble upon in an abject suffering.
Yep. have to break everything apart. Oh my god.
Yeah, just like, oh, stop the presses.
Yeah.
I just went to the Fever Vault.
I returned from the Fever Vault.
Yeah,
with the secrets of the man.
Yeah, oh man, these guys.
These guys.
Used to be in a band called Kicks Incorporated.
That's a very good name.
It is really good. I found that out through the exclusive eight JPEGs I am access to as a member of the Fever Vault.
Limited time only.
These 8 exclusive JPEGs.
Glossy JPEGs.
Yeah. So they're all right. I'd say the resolution on these bad boys is like Midland. Like these are okay images.
Yeah.
But
do you feel like you got your money's worth? I guess is my.
For $4.99, like I think this is like just the being able to say I did it.
Yeah.
On the show, and then also learning some extra facts and stuff.
Of course.
And I listened to the demo versions of the songs that are on this album, and they are interesting, including one that is the secret one that I think is actually like a pretty good song, which we'll get to.
Ooh, this will be fun.
Secret, and there are a couple of these I think are actually not so bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're catchy at the very least. Like you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell what their background is.
Yeah, consummate like studio professionals.
Right.
These dudes, who just like had this weird crossover hit and had the other thing they're noteworthy about, which is the WKRP and Cincinnati song. Mm-hmm. And then nothing else, but like, good for these guys, man. Yeah. Like what a weird little like career they carved out.
Yeah.
Let's start talking about them in earnest here.
Yeah, let's do it. So Buckner and Garcia, appropriately enough, it's, two kind of headliners. They have like a backing band behind them for this album. Jerry Buckner and Gary Garcia are kind of the two.
Fucks me up, man, because it seems like Jerry Garcia every time I see it.
Exactly, right.
There's a lot of Jerry Garcia in this. So.
Yeah. But they were a jingle writing duo who kind of grew up together in Akron, Ohio, a town that is a punchline, but is also home to like these just a weird music scene a little bit. Yeah. Like a lot of people came from there. Chrissy Hind, Devo's from there, the Black Keys, etc. Yeah.
And Chrissy Hind's My City Was Gone, potentially about Akron.
Yeah.
And so they saw these guys, their songwriting duo. They saw a Pac-Man machine. This is in the early '80s, right? Saw a Pac-Man machine for the first time at a restaurant in Marietta, Georgia, and they got hooked on the game. Like they were genuine fans, and ended up writing a song about it.
Yeah,
it's part of like I was making fun of these guys on their website earlier. I do have a lot of genuine affection for them, and they're not, when you said like. There is some laziness to these songs that they were kind of like forced to write in addition.
Yeah.
But this first thing, like they like actually like this stuff.
Yeah.
They're just huge dorks.
Yeah.
And
it's
the dorkiest possible expression of joy for Pac-Man.
I'm always going to show up for dorkiness.
Yeah. It is very sweet. Like these are very sweet and innocent.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they were genuinely hooked on the thing and wrote this song about Pac-Man.
Yeah, and if it sounds like I'm being mean when I say they're lazy, it absolutely is the case that they didn't want to make the rest of these songs. Like, the single itself was a hard enough sell. Like, no record label wanted it. They're like, hey, I think we have something here. Like, what the fuck is this? Which is a proper response, I think, to Pac-Man Fever. But it found a home on like drive time radio.
Yeah. Yep. They enjoyed it. And eventually this, did get the attention of record companies. CBS said like, hey, you can make a record, but we want it to be all game songs.
Yeah. So it couldn't just be like, hey, here's Buckner and Garcia doing their soft rock, yacht rock kind of hits.
Well, it's almost all like there's almost all novelty songs prior to this.
Right.
Like they've done a couple of the songs that are kind of like sound like legitimate songs. Mm-hmm. But a bunch of their songs prior to this were comedy songs. Mm-hmm. So like their song Mr. T, Merry Christmas in the NFL was I think their first song they put out. But they did a lot of like jingles and novelty songs. They were not in the sincere songwriting business. Those are the exceptions.
Yeah.
More than anything.
It's pretty funny because you can tell they wanted to do different stuff if you read interviews.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. They're like
which makes this a little bit tragic as well.
Definitely. Because like, okay, CBS says we're gonna give you the big break. However, like it's a monkey's paw wish because it has to be all video games. It can't just be Pac-Man Fever and then other songs you otherwise wanted to write.
Yeah, and songs about your feelings and the like. Like this is, exclusively going to be about video games or nothing. And the it's a lot, or it's a little bit like the second season of Extras, which Ricky Gervais is gross, but that show is good, and the second season is like really interesting thing, that happens where he gets his wish, but it's like the worst version of it.
Right.
Gets on TV, and it's yeah.
Yeah.
So
so we talked about their songwriting process a little bit, but like writing lyrics for them was difficult. They had no problem really coming up with the hooks. But how do you write a verse about Frogger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You describe what Frogger does over and over and over.
Moves up and down with no rhyme or reason.
Which there's actually quite a bit of rhyme and reason.
Yeah, like not
Buckner,
getting
Garcia.
hit. Come on.
Yeah.
Whichever one of you. Which one of you did this?
So they went down to the arcade to like learn about these other songs. And it was really difficult to get this album out because they used all these sound effects from the game.
Quite well, actually. I think this is a really good example of like sampling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very tastefully done. Eventually they re-released it. This came later, and they had to re-record everything.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't get those sounds. So the re-recordings are actually very similar. The litmus, if you want to know whether you're listening to the right one or not, is when they went back to re-record them, they could not find a working mousetrap machine.
Mm-hmm.
As we mentioned, that's kind of the loser of the bunch of these games. So they end up using actual like pet shop sounds.
Yeah.
So it's animals, kind of making regular animal noises, and then the song starts.
Right.
So it's video game noises, original it be, animal noises, steer clear, if I were thee. Like,
red skies at night, mousetrap is
delight.
Yep.
Yeah,
but like the version that's on Apple Music is the re-release version, which is not well regarded by people who are fans of the original. For various production reasons. Yeah. It's like a production and mixing kind of difference more than anything.
It is like glossier and like less good, but also to me this is a thing where they kind of transcends production, where it's just the content.
Yeah.
It's the chords and the words.
Exactly.
And the concept that are interesting to me.
But Pac-Man Fever was a huge deal. Like they released it as a single, hit number 9 on the Billboard Top 100.
Number 9. Like,
come on.
Remember when we did that show called File Underwater about REM, and for the entire back third of their career, they didn't get in like the top 80 in the Billboard chart, and Pac-Man Fever got number 9.
Yeah, it also took them 5 albums to even break the top 10.
Yeah. Whereas Pac-Man Fever just swooped in and just took it.
Yeah. Like it was clearly like written off the back of the craze. People were kind of into Pac-Man. They were into video games. 1982. Right when the things were reaching kind of this saturation point before the great crash that everybody talks about. Well,
and this is like the billionth time I've pointed this out, or it's been pointed out at all. But the crash didn't really happen to arcades.
Right.
Like the crash is home consoles almost exclusively. Like arcades and computers were fine. And arcade stayed strong.
Yeah, that's why I hedged with that people talk about. Like, you can't talk about anything that happens in the early 80s without mentioning that. But like
it's because nobody thinks PCs are real. It's a weird thing. People don't actually think anybody played games on them.
Right.
I think because GoldenEye is the first-person shooter.
Of course. So, but like this ended up being a hit for them, and their only hit. I think they released "Dude the Donkey Kong" as another single, but it didn't do as well. And their time in the sun kind of passed.
Yes. So eventually, there's always this kind of like seed of nostalgia, though. So enough to where they did re-release the record, as we mentioned, in 1999 and 2002. And this is where the Apple Music version with the new production is from.
Yes.
U2 has the originals, if you want to hear them. And sadly, Gary Garcia died in 2011. I don't think it was ever released how he died. He was surrounded by 4 different, there were 4 color swaths around him in a perfect circle. And then in blood written Pinky, Inky, Blinky.
And died.
And died. and died.
Yeah. Imagine how pissed off all those ghosts would be, where the person who helped popularize Pac-Man and the act of devouring ghosts passes away. Like, oh my gosh, it's like a cop going to jail.
Yeah. Don't let the sun set on you here, new fish. Do you like the Caribbean, Cincinnati? We don't care, motherfucker. Hey, I got 2 words for you. Closed casket. Um,
So there's a song that came out with Buckner and Garcia on the name after Gary passed away, and it is the title track from the Wreck-It Ralph soundtrack. They recorded it after he died. They added, they released it under the name Buckner and Garcia, kind of for the name appeal, right?
Yeah, it's really just Buckner.
Yes,
and out of respect for Garcia. And yeah, it's the song Wreck-It Ralph, and it is a cute song.
Yeah, it's got a very good hook to it.
I liked that movie.
That's a good movie.
Like that would, that would be a stretch, but that would be something we could do on the show at some point.
Yeah,
it doesn't adapt anything specifically, but adapts like kind of more of a culture and idea. But I thought it was a really cute movie.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this song, Pac-Man Fever, was produced and remixed by a man named Jace Hall. That is the lead, like the single that came out before the movie Ready Player One. And it's called Pac-Man Fever, parentheses, Eat 'em Up. And it has a rapping ghost, and the production's real bad. And the video is really annoying. And Ready Player One ruins everything it touches.
Right.
So I think we're past the backlash of that, where it's okay to make fun of Ready Player One.
Okay, good.
Because it was good to make fun of it, and then everyone freaked out about people making fun of it, and then now I think it's good to make fun of it again.
Okay, cool.
So we're on that part of the sine wave of just let people like what they like versus some things are bad.
I'm very happy that you're picking up the sine wave. That concept. Man, that movie hasn't even come out yet, though. Like, we're gonna have another just shit barn happen.
Oh well, that'll cause another wave.
Yeah. I'm already getting like from my family. My stepdad loves nerdy movies, loves comic book movies. Like, oh, you're gonna love Ready Player One when it comes out.
Yeah. And Spielberg, who knows? This video and the trailer definitely don't, and the source material. Like, there's nothing that actually makes me think it will be okay.
Yeah.
I suppose I don't have perfect knowledge that it isn't, but like
right.
All signs point to pretty rough.
Yeah.
The rapping ghost in the Pac-Man Fever Eat 'em Up video doesn't like inspire confidence, because like parts of it definitely look like it's scenes from the movie. And like that rapping ghost could be part of the movie. Like, I would not put it past anybody involved in this stuff. They had a rapping ghost, which like, I can imagine the person who's like, yeah, man, rapping ghost, but I am not that person.
No.
Give me rapping ghost, and I'll see you later. That's me. So,
yeah, it's a signal. Like, I'm just gonna duck out.
This is not for me.
I'm gonna go grab some smokes.
Yeah,
be back in a minute.
Give me a minute. I'm gonna go start smoking. I'm gonna take up a cigarette. I'm gonna learn to vape.
Learn to Vape is a very strange Foo Fighters remix.
Yeah, this is the worst Tom Petty song. But yeah, I do that instead of doing the rapping ghost.
Right.
So let's go through these songs. And when we cover music, I try not to put a sample from everything in there, but there's only 8 songs here.
Yeah.
And I do think they have to be heard to be believed. So I'm gonna put in at least a little bit of all these songs.
Yeah. Well, I will marker liberally. How about that?
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
'Cause I got Pac-Man fever. Pac-Man fever. It's driving me crazy. I got Pac-Man fever. Pac-Man fever. I'm going out of my mind. I got Pac-Man fever. Pac-Man fever. I'm going out of my mind. I got all the patterns down.
So let's get started. The album starts appropriately enough with the cultural sensation that is Pac-Man Fever.
So let me say this. One of my first kind of exposures to Pac-Man Fever was when Homer demanded that The Who play it.
Mm-hmm.
And he sings it wrong. He's like, Pac-Man a fever, hey, it's driving me crazy. Like, no, that's not how it is, Homer.
No, it's got a very distinct melody. Like, Buckner and Garcia, if anything, are consummate tunesmiths. Like, they made catchy songs.
Right.
And this is catchy.
Oh, it's very catchy. Well, it's like it's in a call and response to too. Like, it is made to like be pounded into your head.
Yeah. Kind of like an old timey like, rock and roll song in like the old style of rock and roll.
Yeah, like that old time rock and roll.
Like the old time rock and roll. Like, they just took this record off the shelf. but like, yeah, like a blues rock song.
Yeah. It's got kind of a boogie woogie piano to it, and there's some very choice early 80s synth work going on throughout
the
this.
on this is actually like pretty good.
It's great.
Yeah, some of the Moog like keyboard tones are very, very good. This.
Yeah.
So yeah, it tells the tale. There's a kid who's very into to Pac-Man. He's got his pocket full of quarters, heading to the arcade, as you may have seen on the popular shirt.
Available at cafepress.com.
Yeah. Yep. And it describes what it is like to play Pac-Man when it's in the verses.
Right. And this kid's like in the thralls. You know, he is spending all of his money. He's coming back day after day. Don't have much, but I'm going to put it all into Pac-Man. He's got shoulder pain. He's developing calluses. It's a real tale of woe. Yeah.
So the big problem with this album in general is I think that there is too much repetition and too many like choruses.
Yes.
To things. So this, I'm looking at the Genius section of this. You see the verses. There's 3 like pretty svelte paragraphs that tell the story.
Yeah.
About this, and I'm actually like pretty okay with this, and it shows understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I've got all the patterns down up until the 9th key. I got Speedy on my tail. I know it's either him or me. Like,
mm-hmm.
good, like all pretty legit. It just spends so much time in the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
Which the chorus is good. It's catchy again, but like it ends up being a little bit much. So there's definitely the point of this where about when it goes into the 3rd chorus, which is the last one, which it does for a long time, is the like, are you fucking kidding me moment of this song.
Yep. For sure. Yeah. So the thing that I like about this and what I think makes this stand out above the others is that this does have a definite concept. There's a point of view in this, even if it is hung up on the particulars of the way the side tunnel works. Like, this is a person talking about their life and like being very focused on what is going on inside the game itself. Like, it's almost like he is singing a song about like a great sports play that he did or something like that.
Yeah.
The other songs on the album, I'm not sure what point of view they're told from.
It's from the GameFAQs point of view. It is literally just like an alien describing an arcade game.
Yeah. And so like all of these games, for most of them, you could swap out anything, right? Like, they're so abstract. There's like nothing really to them, but like, with the exception of Defender, I think, and maybe Hyperspace, it's never really told from the point of view of somebody who is like a character in the game.
In the game.
Oh, yeah. Like, and in those, it's like, oh, I'm the captain of the spaceship. But then it pulls out and says, I press the button and fire. And like, I was like, okay.
Well, there's a button on the spaceship.
Okay, true.
Yeah.
Spaceships are made of buttons.
Yeah. This is so interesting. One of the things that's really interesting to think about with Pac-Man Fever, and one of the only Genius notes, it says that like Buckner and Garcia paved the way for like Brundle Floss.
Yeah.
And other, modern YouTube parody songsmiths. And the games being this simple and being kind of something you can graft anything onto, I think makes this significantly more tolerable and fun and special than like Brundle Floss.
Right.
Who I think is like, I'm sure is a very nice guy. But
yeah, he had a panel before us that one time, and he was real cool.
He's a very nice guy.
Yeah.
I never want to listen to that.
No.
Like that is if you like ask me like what sounds good, how about somebody making up lyrics about a video game to the music of the video game? Like that's no, I'm good. Like, miss me with that, please. But this because it is so simple, they can just kind of make these songs that not only could you substitute any video game for, you could almost substitute anything for.
Right.
Like these could be about anything. So they just end up being like early 80s. Like you could take the instrumentation of this and map it on to a Journey album.
Yep.
Like this sounds like a Journey album.
It does. Yeah.
Like, but with maybe a little bit more variety in genre.
Your magic twanger, Froggy. Froggy takes one step at a time. The way that he moves has no reason to rhyme. He hops and jumps, dodges and ducks, cars and buses, vans and trucks. Go, Froggy, go. You gotta keep on hopping till you get to the top. Go, Froggy, go. You gotta keep on hopping, you can never stop. Go, Froggy, go. Hiya, kids.
So we move on to Froggy's Lament, which like one, I was listening to this with my girlfriend. I was showing her this morning, and she says, "This isn't a lament."
No, it's not.
No, it's not. This does not sound like there's any lamenting involved. This is like Convoy or something.
Yeah.
This is or the bass line is like Radar Love.
Yeah. It definitely.
Or California Love, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a California Dreamin'. Categorically not. No, it's like a dirty southern like swamp rock kind of thing a little bit.
Yeah. It is like he does the entire thing in this go Froggy, go.
Marge, you're breaking my heart.
It never ends. Like he kind of sings it.
Yeah.
During the whole thing. And again, like just too many choruses in this, right? I'm looking conservatively. I'm looking at Genius here. Let's see how many choruses it counts. 8, 8 to 9. So I think it's that part. But during the I think this is like pretty catchy and funny.
Oh yeah. Well, like the Go Froggy Go part is great. Like
go. Gotta keep on hopping until you get to the top. Like into that, and that is what happens in Frogger.
Yeah. You hop to the top. I don't know where there's an otter in Frogger, but okay.
I don't know where there's an otter either. I also the beginning when we're talking about this just being like pointlessly descriptive though, like the verses are almost all the same. So not only does it repeat choruses, it actually does repeat the verses, the first couple lines of the verses over and over.
Froggy takes one step at a time. The way that he moves, there's no reason to rhyme. And like they have got a real problem with scansion too.
Yeah, that's always the case. Like the first 2 lines of every verse is Froggy moves one step at a time. You know that whole bit.
Uh-huh.
The real joy in this are the little vocal fills that he does in between. Which are like have to be heard to be believed in this song and in the next one.
Oh, of course.
I think.
Yeah.
Man.
Puff your magic twanger, Froggy, which is a reference to like a 60s kid show called Andy's Gang.
Oh, like I couldn't figure out what that was too.
Yeah.
I couldn't know what he was saying exactly either. Like at one point it sounded like he was saying pluff.
Uh-huh.
Which plucker. Because he says it like demon voice. Your magic twanger, Froggy.
Yeah.
Like he says it in the whole song is written from the perspective of a truck driver who just said ass, grass, or gas. And has moved on to sing Froggy's Lament.
Yeah. So Froggy's Lament, like at no point is the loop that Frogger is stuck in portrayed as like a bad thing. It's never really alluded to that he is in mortal danger of being squished. What's that?
You know, he doesn't get run over. He drowns at one point.
Yeah.
There's a threat of drowning, but he doesn't get run over.
Yeah.
And these little things, you know, so he's, pluck your magic wagger, Froggy. At one point, he just goes, "Hiya, kids." It is so good and weird. Like, what is happening with this fucking song?
I guess for old Froggy, it's sink or it's swim. Like,
at times I wish Froggy had wings.
Yeah.
And it's just like Froggy as a game. Is that like a knockoff of Frogger?
No, it's just Frogger. He's just talking about Frogger.
Because the other one, like he calls him Froggy, it's very like colloquial, and the other ones they actually just use the name of the game.
Yeah,
so it's not like they're trying to copyright or anything.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think he thought that Frogger was the name of the frog in Frogger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
like his name was Froggy, but frogging is what he does, so he is a Frogger.
Yes. Also, he uses like sound samples from Frogger. So, yeah.
And if
mm-hmm.
All right, yeah. And if you feed him hazelnuts, and then eat his livers, it makes frogwa.
That's so dumb.
And get that frogwa's lament. Yeah, it's pretty dumb. The next song on the album is my least favorite. I think it's funny, but it's the one I want to listen to the least. Not least of which because it is 1,000 years long.
Yep. You listen to this and you've got gray hairs and all of your friends are dead.
Yeah, it puts you into a time chamber when you start listening to Ode to a Centipede.
Yeah, which this is not an ode.
No, that's true.
There's no affection for the centipede. In fact, I would say this song in content is the most hostile.
Yeah, very anti-centipede. Which is, of course, should be Centipede being the antagonist of the game, Centipede.
Yeah. So, Gary, what I want you to do is imagine there was never a game called Centipede.
And I just heard this song.
Yep. The centipede multiplies and divides.
Yeah. It'd be incredible. Like, it would be like a weird Syd Barrett acid trip song about like a creature like a being he created.
Yes.
Called Centipede. Like, this is some Nightman shit. Because he also sings it. So this is like this minor key piano song that sounds like Journey's Separate Ways quite a bit. And the way he sings it in this kind of like high threat voice during the sing parts. The centipede multiplies and divides, very scary. And then there are asides in this as well.
You can't get away, little centipede. I'm right behind you. Don't try hiding behind the mushrooms. I see you.
So it has these breaks where it's just like da 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 da, and during these parts he's just like, here I come. I'm coming to get you.
You can't hide.
You can't hide. Like he sings this like very creepy.
Don't try hiding behind those mushrooms. I see you.
I'm out wherever you are. Like, what is this? It's amazing. And he's talking to a centipede from the perspective of a fucking ship. It's like, give me a break.
I understand now.
He says, I understand now. What are you getting? I'm right behind you. You can't fool me by changing colors.
Go ahead and run your little legs off. Do you have Nikes for all of them?
That is something else. Like, that little joke in the middle of this, 10-hour song. It's humorless as it can possibly be.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Just describing that the centipede multiplies and divides and has spider friends.
Yeah, he's got spider friends. He goes row by row. Slide to the rocks to get you from below. Like, those are all things that happen in Centipede. Again, This is like a game fact in song form. Like, that does describe Centipede pretty well. But it is just, and it goes on for a very long time.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very long time.
Yeah. So, if this was half as long, I think I would be much kinder to it, honestly.
Cute. It is so Mousetrap is real bad.
Yeah.
That was we'll do first and worst at the end of this.
Yes, we will.
That's a standard thing. But Mousetrap is very bad. It just feel even if it is the same length, it doesn't feel quite as long to me.
Yeah.
Even though it also, again, all these songs feel too long.
Yeah. Well, this one's 5 minutes and 37 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. Buckner and Garcia. So after that, we get our second single here, Do the Donkey Kong.
And this is pretty fun. This is it's like a 60s style dance instructional song, I
think the song is pretty catchy.
Yeah, everybody do the funky grandpa.
Yeah. This is a song about doing the funky grandpa Kong.
The cranky Kong, please.
Cranky Kong. Well, there's a funky Kong too, which is what confused me. Is there a funky Kong?
Yeah, funky Kong.
His name's something Kong. I don't know what the name of the particular funky Kong is.
Oh, we're gonna get letters.
This has this ding 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 beat throughout the whole thing, whatever you would call that. Yeah, like that mercy beat, kind of thing, and it's extremely catchy rhythm to this. I think the song out of songs of this album is very catchy and kind of good.
Yeah,
goes on too long, like all of them. Too many choruses. Yep. Do the lyrics actually say very much about what's happening in the game? Nope.
Talks about putting out a fire with a hammer.
Yeah, so there's that. It also says open up the umbrella and answer the phone. Neither of which are things that happen in Donkey Kong.
It talks about tiptoeing through the tulips or something like that.
Yeah. It's just like a dance instruction thing. So only some of the things actually feel like, lyrics. And some of them get very weird. So like after you tiptoe through the tulips and raise your hands up high, there's a fire down below. You don't want to catch his eye. Hide behind each other. And don't even make a sound. You're in trouble now. Take the elevator down. Like if you imagine that from the voice of the narrator of Ode to a Centipede, like it becomes a very different.
You're in trouble now.
Take the elevator down. Hide behind each other. So some of the stuff actually sounds like Donkey Kong, and they never mention Mario, which I would have appreciated as a Mario fan.
Yeah.
But the noteworthy thing of this is this chorus, which is it's very simple, and empty. Like. Somebody saying like "come on" or "yeah" or something like that during a chorus, like I always think is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like just empty language. But like, God, if it isn't like pretty catchy, and he kind of kills it.
Well, he puts his back into it. Like it sounds like he's going to be hoarse. It's like John Lennon at the end of Twist and Shout. Yeah.
Really, really like, really kind of owning it.
Do
you can do the Donkey Kong. Just going way into it. Near the end. And it also does another thing that I think is so funny where it fades out real quick and then pops right back up at the end.
I love the false start. The false start is one of my favorite things in music.
But false stop, like a false start would be like, oh, we fucked up the beginning.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, false stop. There we go. Yeah.
It is so funny. Like it's so dumb when that pops up.
I just conceptually like a dance instructional kind of thing. Like, oh, you gotta put your hands on your hips and stick out your butt. Like those are fun, Yeah. But a dance instructional about just playing a game or doing something that is not a dance.
Yeah, like if you read this as dance instructions, it feels like the words of a maniac. Here's the dance you gotta do to escape Donkey Kong's dungeon. Like, wave your hands in the air, stomp your feet on the ground. Those are things I can do. Climb up the ladder quickly and spin yourself around. Like, well, okay. Like, if there's a ladder at play, open up the umbrella and answer the phone. You can do this with a partner. You can do it all alone. Like, not only does this not have that much relation to dancing, it doesn't have that much relation to Donkey Kong. Like, it doesn't have relation to anything. It has relation to words that fit the meter.
Also, if I'm doing this alone, who am I hiding behind?
Yeah, so I can't do this all alone. You have to do this with a partner.
This is lunacy, Gary.
Yeah, this is like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
But like I think the song is kind of enjoyable to listen to. Yeah, and there's a second single, and I don't see why this wasn't like pretty popular. Like I think this is like genuinely real catchy. This also uses the samples really well. When the samples pop in during the break, like they're to the beat and like fit.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I didn't mention that with Ode to a Centipede, but they really use the of Centipede like as part of the backing percussion in a pretty cool way.
I agree, and it also sounds cool.
Yeah. I mean, and like if there is a triumph of this album aside from the catchiness, it's that. Like this is sampling, but it is sampling that is done in service of the music. Yeah, there's some stuff that is just kind of like, hey, remember this? But like arcades have wonderful sounds. Arcade games, like the sound effects that go into those are very well designed and very attractive. So they should fit into music pretty well.
It's the same thing where and especially arcade games of this vintage where like some of them didn't really have soundtracks. They just had these like, or they didn't have songs so much. They had these, like some kind of sound that a creature would make when he moved that kind of creates the illusion of a sound or a song kind of around it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that is a kind thing that I will say about this while not laughing. Like it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is good. Also good. I love hyperspace, Gary.
Shooting my rockets all over the place. I'm invisible now, but I'll be back again. Kicking the thrust, 'cause I just gotta win. I just gotta win. There's a ship on the rise and it's shooting at me. I rotate my ship and at the count of 3, I fire and shooting.
Hyperspace is pretty good.
Yeah.
Hyperspace, it's not, we'll get to it. I don't want to broadcast. Hyperspace is extremely
Well, I mean, it's the next song.
It is the next song. I was just saying it's good, but it's not my fave.
Oh, no. Yeah.
It's good though. Like hyperspace is pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
This is about asteroids, and it's good. Kudos to them for not calling it asteroids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about a specific mechanic in asteroids.
Yeah.
Which is like the button that you can press to warp randomly around the screen to avoid trouble.
I'm invisible now, but I'll be back again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kicking the thrust because I just got to win.
Oh.
I just got to win.
Well, no. The way that he says thrust is the way that I want to live my life. Kicking the thrust.
Yeah. He definitely like thrusts forward with his hips when he does that.
Yeah.
Like that is that's implying, you know, like this character in the song who's driving the spaceship in asteroids like is a big swinging dong of space.
Yep.
You know?
Well, I mean that's his joystick.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. But like I don't have that much to say about this besides like this sounds like a rock song to me.
Yeah. Also like a 70s, you know, rock song. There's like a nice the kind of call and response choruses, which is what they do for most of these. Has a nice little sound effect in it because the backup singer, you know, go like hyperspace, and there's like a real good like like that happens there every single time.
Yeah.
And he also says shooting my rockets all over the place, which again, just in terms of swinging dicks,
right,
I think is a good thing.
I think that this just gets into my general, I think, affection for cock rock kind of stuff. Yeah,
it's definitely it feels like very like cock rock to me.
Yeah.
You know, this is very music that comes from the dick.
Yeah.
As befits asteroids.
Yes, as it does. You know, it's a very aggressive kind of game. Yes. Yeah, and also this has a I don't know if it's good. Like I generally am not that down for like immediately solo, but like it felt appropriate here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it makes sense for hyperspace.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, again, gotta give it props for being accurate. You know, push on that button, I'm back in the race. Like that is the function of that power up.
Yep.
In asteroids.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a long time since I played asteroids. Like a real nice like vector asteroids with the dial.
Of course.
A wheel like that's a very satisfying.
I'm saying of course too much, but you're right. One of the sad things about PRGE is, you know, like as it grows, the vector arcade game section is getting smaller and smaller. And I don't know why that is.
Yeah. With this year, I think two things. Like one, pinball is ascendant. Like pinball has been ascendant kind of like the last few years anyway, but there were more pinball machines there. And there was a whole section set up for Star Wars games for some Star Wars anniversary nonsense.
Right.
So, like a lot of real estate was taken like with kind of, you know, individual to this year special event.
Yeah.
Style stuff.
Yeah, but I love those vector games. I want to have the laser etched on the back of my eye.
Yeah, I would really like to get a Vectrex. Reagan Kelly of the Short Game Podcast, friend of the show and friend, has a Vectrex and was posting pictures of it last year.
Oh, nice.
I think they're kind of spendy, but like they are very beautiful machines that I should like to own one day.
Yes.
I've always been on the lookout for like a decent condition Vectrex.
Yeah.
Also, like there are a bunch of games like that I like on Vectrex. Like I like Asteroids. I like
Tempest, man.
Tempest. Yeah, Tempest is good. Like that's a fun game.
Yeah.
I mean, there wouldn't be Super Hexagon without Tempest.
True.
Yeah. Next up is Defender, or The Defender.
Battleground this time you see is out of space. I'm the defender, a mutant bender. I'm the defender, a mind bender. I'll defend the state to the end. I'm the captain of the ship and its man.
I like the song quite a bit.
Okay.
There's a demo version of this too that is like just him and a piano that I think is like revealing and good.
I would very much like to hear that.
Well, yeah, like I was saying before we got on, like we can split my membership like a Netflix subscription. I'll give you my Hulu. You give me your Hulu credentials so I can watch the first 7 episodes of season 2 of The Good Place, and I will give you my Fever Vault credentials. You can listen to the demo version of The Defender with a special foreword from Buckner.
Jesus.
So, or whichever one is the surviving one. I get them confused.
Yeah.
With the surviving Buckner or Garcia.
I believe that Garcia is the one who's passed, and then Buckner is the one who's still alive.
Yes. Yeah. There's got to be like a mnemonic device for that.
They're dying in reverse alphabetical order.
There we go.
Yeah.
Or like when it comes to Buckner, you don't get Buckner when it comes to Garcia and gonna Garcia later or something like that. Like I don't, I'm gonna go Garcia at the crossroads.
I miss my Uncle Jerry.
I miss my Uncle Garcia, y'all.
So the Defender, I think this one's a little bit of a snoozer. There's some real like yacht rock synth on this one. Yeah,
it is yacht rock synth. And the verses are, kind of perfunctory. I think that's where he talks about, but it is from the perspective of like the person in the shipping commander, and it's got like a mild amount of pathos for this album, like I'm a million miles from home. I'm in a foreign place. I don't want to be here, which is a weird kind of thing. Talking about Defender, I think the chord progression in the chorus is really good. Like I think it's really that little walk down and walk up that it does after the lines.
That is pretty good. Yeah.
I think that's a really nice, like little chord progression.
Maybe some of my animosity for this comes from the chorus rhyme, which rhymes mutant bender with mind bender.
Yeah. And it's really hard to even hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
Like the I'm a defender, like definitely comes through. And he says like a mutant bender, but it just kind of sounds like Mando. It just sounds like nothing.
Yeah.
The rhymes are like it is. You could have come up with a much better rhyme than that.
Yeah, let's just say like ender. I'm a mind bender and mutant ender. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Mutant ender would have been much better than mind bender and mutant bender. Yeah. My ex-wife used to because that was who I was with when I first got into this in my mid-20s. Used to think he was saying I'm the defender of my Nintendo. My Nintendo. And I was just like, oh, like that's it's goddamn it, Crystal. It's a game about Defender. It wasn't released on the Nintendo Entertainment System until 1986, and
your observation is wrong.
Yeah, it's wife. I didn't do that, but right. I guess it is just the indistinct way he says the second line.
Yeah.
The lyrics is like none of the lyrics are great shakes, but I think that chorus melody is very good.
And I'm down for some yacht rock. I just think this one doesn't have as much shake in its ass as some of the other ones.
Berserk is also like a yacht rock.
Yeah. I'm much more fond of Going Berserk.
Yeah, I like them both quite a bit.
Yes.
But this is and I think again for lyrics in this, I think that the there's a weird pathos and serious tone to this.
Yep.
Which is very strange.
I've done all I can, at least for today.
Yeah. Like, he's like fighting an endless war. I am the captain of the ship and its men. Like there are lives at stake.
Well, I mean, specifically like, I've rescued everybody that I can, and the ones that I haven't been able to rescue, they will haunt me for my life.
Yeah, they're going to follow me around until I die.
Yeah.
This is a winner for me, but it is largely on the curve.
Yeah.
The next song is Mousetrap.
Mousetrap, cheese was a bait. Won't somebody help me before it's too late? The hawk is upon me and the cat's coming too. I'm caught in a mousetrap, now what will I do? Mousetrap, what can I do? Mousetrap, cheese was a bait. Won't somebody help me before it's too late?
And Mousetrap is not a good song.
No.
There is a bridge to this that I think is extremely funny. Which we'll get to. But like, so this is like how to describe this what this is musically. Like
people so we should probably start because people probably don't know what Mousetrap is. This is not referring to the board game. This is referring to an arcade game that is pretty rare. Like I've never seen one.
It looks a little bit like a Pac-Man clone.
Yeah, it's like a maze kind of thing.
A maze chase game in the maze chase genre, but with different mechanics, like more walls, and you can move the walls. Like watching it actually looked a little bit neat. Like, but I've never played Mousetrap.
Yeah.
I think this probably loses a lot of points for me as a song because of how annoying the chorus is.
Yep, annoyance is a real factor here.
Yeah.
Mousetrap, cheese with the bait.
Yeah, cheese with the bait. It is like a George Thorogood style rock song. I think is probably the genre. Even the beginning with that like, that like guitar that opens it up.
Yeah.
This sounds like a Voodoo Love God song or Hindu Love God song.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
to me, doesn't it seem like something they would cover?
Like there's a smattering of blues all around this, and I don't care for it one bit. And I think a lot of the blues is concentrated here.
Yeah, this is the bluesiest thing they've done.
Yeah,
and like blues rock is not my fave.
Nah. And it very much is. And they're just really obsessed with the hierarchy of creatures in this.
I love that so much because there's that legendary Simpsons joke, with that, with like what's next, Gangster Octopus, dog or something like that.
Yeah.
And this thing, but having that understanding, like, was there a time when you were a kid where you thought that dogs ate cats?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
why else are they chasing them?
Yeah, it's like, what a weird thing for tons of kids to believe that dogs just straight up eat cats as food.
Yeah, well, there was also a time when I thought all cats were girls and all dogs were boys. So, I was a pretty dumb kid.
The bridge in this, so like, kudos for having a third part, having a bridge at all, I guess. But he just starts kind of like chanting. He's like, now a mouse can eat the cheese, and a cat can eat a mouse, and a dog can eat a cat if he traps them in the house. And I'm like, yes, like a very hungry dog
would probably eat a cat.
And a very weakened, like sick cat who are trapped in a house. The dog may win that fight and eat that cat.
Right.
That could be the case. However, it has nothing to do with Mousetrap. And is a weird conception just kind of in general.
Yeah. Also that a hawk is placed above them.
Yeah, a hawk will eat it doesn't say a hawk will eat a dog, but that's the implication. You try to get the prizes while avoiding the old hawk. And there's time for you to run. There's time for you to walk. Like that sounds like an expression, doesn't it?
Yep.
Like something like if you got a job working in the back room at a Kmart, and you had like a weird boss with one eye, and like you like kind of jog to the break room, and he goes, you got time enough to run, you got time enough to walk. And it's like that's not always true, but sometimes true. But also, how does it apply? Like, it has the cadence of a saying without actually meaning anything.
Well, he would have said time to lean, time to clean, but he didn't want to be cliche.
Yeah, he's working on new things.
Yeah. That's going to be the mark that he leaves on this world.
Yeah. There's time if there's time for you to run, there's time for you to walk.
Hey, Gary.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm having a real moment here because on Genius.com they've got stats. Over here in the right sidebar it says one viewing, and I assume that's you. Gary, hi, buddy.
Hey, Buckner and Garcia, buddy. That's very good. Yay! I oftentimes think it comes up most with abject suffering, but I oftentimes think that how weird it is that like with 7 billion people, that we are like the only people looking at a certain thing at a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that happens probably more than maybe even we think.
Probably.
But here it's nice to see it codified.
I know, right? To see it built in as a feature in this website.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
One viewing. Yeah. And also, I don't know. I didn't play enough Mousetrap, so I don't. So maybe as the Mousetrap, you turn into a dog.
Maybe.
Because
like when you get the power pellet kind of thing.
Yeah, because there's a verse that like I could turn into a dog if I only had a bone. I could press the doggy button and they'd leave me all alone. I could make the hawk turn stupid if I entered into quote unquote in.
Mm-hmm.
I could block and trap the cats and turn into a mouse again. So maybe this is actually extremely accurate. But I just haven't played the game, and it sounds like nonsense.
So this is as close as we're going to get to that joke that I made about Centipede. Like, imagine there was never a game called Centipede. Mousetrap never existed. Like, this is just Buckner and Garcia, like, inceptioning this game into existence.
Inceptioning a mouse, like polybiusing.
Yeah.
It's like polybiusing. Yes.
Cheese with the bait.
Cheese with the bait. Extremely like George Thorogood and the Destroyers kind of sounding thing, and a real bummer.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, I'll get to first and worse, but you know what I'm going to say.
It's so wonderland at night. I can stop and aim my gun when there's a robot in my sight. I think I'm going berserk. I think I'm losing my mind. I'm getting lost in the shuffle. It happens every time. I think I'm going berserk.
So the album ends though on a high note. with Going Berserk, which people who pay attention, this song was used in the second or third episode of Berserk that we covered for Bonfireside Chat.
Mm-hmm.
I put this in as the thing. And this is a song I like quite a bit.
This is so good. It is incredibly earnest.
Yeah, it is very sweethearted. And it also is kind of like a weird little love song, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Berserk is a dual stick shooter about killing crazy robots. And,
that talk to you.
Yeah, that talk to you and not killing civilians. And if anyone listening to this has never played Berserk, I implore you to like listen to a YouTube of it, because it was very like the digitized voices in it, and sound effects like were a huge deal.
Yeah, and also you have totally heard those digitized voices elsewhere.
Yes,
like those are very common kind of samples.
Yes, and because they're good, like they stand up.
Yeah.
So they take that game and kind of like the verses are a little bit about that, but I think he just kind of wanted to make this sappy love song that this kind of transitions into.
Yes.
In a weird way. Starts off as kind of a piano song and then kind of just becomes this like driving pop song.
Right. Again, with that yacht rock kind of synth. And like it's weird because it is like he is trying to sneak some medicine into our applesauce here, because it starts out like, oh, I can move in 8 directions. Once I start, I'm never done. Like, okay, yeah, like describing this. And eventually it just goes into talking about whoever you is.
Yes, like the titular, like the you that love songs are about.
Right.
You know, because you think, I think I'm going berserk. And berserk already means something other than the game. So that's why this, this chorus could just literally be transplanted into a song not about a video game.
Right.
I'm going berserk. I can't stop now. I'm addicted. I'm berserk over you. There's a real breathness of words in this in general, because each verse repeats the lyrics for the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a verse where he's like, I can move in 8 direction. Once I start, I'm never done. And then they sing the same words over the second part where he's like, I can move in 8 directions. Since I start, I'm never done. Yeah. Like there's the little like bridge thing that they just repeat before going into unrelated chorus.
Yeah. It's very funny. Also, the chorus in this is like half of the song, not by like volume. It's not like they repeat it over and over again. The choruses are just incredibly long.
They're really long. It's a lot of lines in the chorus, and the ending of this where it just the berserk, berserk, berserk over you. This like little like pretty good chant.
Yeah.
Here at the end. Mm-hmm. But it is like the verses are all game. Like they keep talking about Evil Otto, who is the name of the villain of Berserk.
Right. Yeah. And just if we're talking about powerful lines in this album, I think I'm going. I think I'm going berserk. Would you like to come too?
Yeah.
Like, are you just like saying like berserk is crazy? Because when I think of berserk, I think about tearing people limb from limb.
Yeah. Like I'm going to go into a barbarian rage and attack my party members. Is what I think of. But if he's just using it as like going crazy, it kind of makes this a very boilerplate kind of standard 70s rock song.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of sweet.
Yeah, with lots of very pretty synth over this. Like there's multiple layers going on. Like there's the prominent one that I call yacht rocky, but there's just a great deal happening with it.
Yeah, it is a complex song. So it feels like they're not phoning this one in.
No.
There's not a demo version of it, sadly, so I couldn't get the inside scoop. But
no, and like this is the one that when we hear it, I feel like this entire album is played at a PRGE, maybe with the exception of Mousetrap. But this is the one that I always like pick out, like I notice when it's playing. Yeah.
So that's the end of the record. They do have a couple other video game related songs, which you mentioned mostly. Already. I do want to not let's go by without mentioning Old School Gaming or Old School Gamer, which is a song they did later on that is excrement.
It's so bad.
It's a real tough listen. And then E.T. I Love You, which also showed up in this, that is an extremely tough listen.
Ooh, E.T. I Love You feels very misguided in that, like, okay, it's got a sweet story behind it. Like, he saw E.T. and like shortly after he lost a pet, I think that had to put his dog to sleep or something like that, and then just he started writing this song about like, oh, E.T., I love you, you're just and like it really feels like this incredibly earnest, keening love ballad about a slimy scrotum.
Yeah, which and we talked about E.T. as an entity, like as a upside down scrotum.
Yeah,
Like they took John Turturro and they put him in a green screen suit and just had his balls hanging out with a ping pong ball hanging from each one. And that was E.T. That was the mocap for E.T. Just 1-to-1. They just they texture lifted, control C, the texture from John Turturro's balls. And this was when he was like, 17? And then control V.
Right.
And put them onto E.T. Like, he's disgusting.
Right.
But it's not really about that. It's not a very good song though.
No, it's really not. And the interview that I read, which is on songfacts.com, it's actually kind of embarrassing because he's telling this story like, oh my gosh, we really loved this, and like we sent it in to Steven Spielberg, and like he talks about how we thought he was going to pull the movie and then put the song into it because movies don't really have theme songs anymore, and we wanted this to be a thing. Like John Williams' thing is really good. It's like, oh, go Buckner, no, Jerry, stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and there's another one on the iTunes version or the Apple Music version. There's a song called "Hostage," which feels
that's on there too.
Yeah, that like it's not video game related, so it kind of stuck out. I was like, what is this about? Like what? Like no, it's just like a we didn't start the fire style Cold War anxiety kind of song.
Yeah, like or just kind of being held captive by like modern life,
being held Coptic, being
held
Christian
septic.
sect,
being held Gnostic. The just for for just like modern life and stuff, pretty weak sauce.
Yeah.
But it's I'll forgive them for that. Yeah. There's also as a member, I get access to a country western version of Pac-Man Fever that they recorded. Like they wanted to release it as well. But it never
chart?
Or to get I guess like to get the country charts, and it actually translates to a country song pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I think I prefer the original, but it it sounds like a thing.
Yeah. So that's all the songs on the album anyway.
Yeah. That's Buckner and Garcia's Pac-Man Fever, which, like, for things we've done on the show, to my mind, this is an qualified recommendation to spin through this once.
Oh yeah.
I really want everyone listening to this, just give this a shot if you didn't know this was a thing, because maybe your taste will be different, and than mine, and you maybe will not find this funny, but I find this quaint and funny in equal parts, enough to be kind of like unique, and I'm very glad it exists.
Yeah. And there, if you end up hating it, there's a certain amount of like what the hell factor, but like it is definitely of its time. Like these are hooky songs, that are pastiches, not just of video game stuff, but of like late 70s music in general.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, oh, here's the rock song, here's the love song. Like it, some of that is there, but it's a little bit harder to pin down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a slightly more going on than you might think.
Yeah. Just like novelty music, you're going to write it off. But yeah, it's worth firing up a YouTube playlist of this, I think.
Yes.
So like, it's weird that we are positive about this, because I think what I said to you was, Gary, these songs are so fucking stupid. And they are, but when I call something fucking stupid, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, it is. It does worm its way into your house, into your heart and your house a little bit. It does. Like, you will find a copy of this under your front door when you least expect it. A record of this will be slipped under your bathroom door next time you're in the shower.
Right.
It does worm its way into your house. But it is like something where it is just so hard to be like mad at. Compare it with like other things we've done that have been kind of just bad media.
Yeah.
For this show. Like, I am way more mad at Alone in the Dark.
Mm-hmm.
Or
I'm really mad at Pokemon Origins.
Yeah, that sucked. Like that sucked really bad. I'm mad at Advent Children.
Mm-hmm.
That sucked.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It felt like, I guess the Advent Children didn't feel like cynical, but there's like a cynicism to projects that do adaptations like this. And then there are things like this where I'd almost put this in the same camp, not maybe quite as good quality, but like kind of similar to Maniac Mansion, where it's like a very loose adaptation, but so earnest that I can't hate it.
Yeah. Like, these are serviceable pop songs if serviceable yet poorly constructed, right?
Yes. And you can like listen to them and just like there is the like showing your buddy appeal where you can be like, listen to this shit. And then the guy, whispers, it's like, do you wear Nikes, little centipede? It's like one of the weirdest fucking things,
Yeah.
It is just noteworthy as well. Like, feels extreme enough to be worth paying attention to and is good enough to not hate.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What's our first and worst on this bad boy?
My first, man, this is actually kind of tough. I'm going to say Hyperspace.
Mm-hmm.
Would be mine. The reason I say it's tough is because I wanted to give it to go in Berserk. But I think Hyperspace is the one that is like, oh, this is a fun song.
Mm.
Yeah. How about what's your first?
My first would be Going Berserk.
Okay.
It's kind of like if I had to, my favorite songs on this album are Going Berserk, Defender, and probably Donkey Kong is my top tier. And then my mid tier has your Hyperspace, your Froggy's Lament, your Pac-Man Fever. And then my low tier has your Ode to a Centipede and Mousetrap.
Yeah.
And just for difference's sake, I'll give my lowest one to Ode to a Centipede, even though I think it's funny.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I'll give mine to Mousetrap, even though it has that bridge.
Cut Ode to a Centipede in half. It gets up into that second tier. Mousetrap, I don't know what you need to do to make that better.
No, I really
Cheese
don't.
was the bait.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, like, we talked about, like, legacy or whatever, I'm not that big of a fan of video game parody music. I want to give, like, a particular call out, though. Weirdly enough, the Mountain Goats have done video game theme songs, specifically 2. They've got a song that they did with Catchy King on the EP Black Pear Tree called Sorry Mario, but Your Princess is in Another Castle.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't read the title and you didn't hear the last verse, you would never think it was about Mario. It's just this very sweet, simple song about somebody being saved. It's written from Toad's perspective. It's very sweet. And then they did a song. It was a B-side off of The Life of the World to Come, called Enoch 1814, which is about Odin's Sphere. But again,
which is a weird choice.
You would just like John Darnielle, as the best human, he was just really, gets obsessed with video game stuff. He was like, oh, I love Odin's Sphere, so I got inspired to write this song. And it's just about, escaping this curse, and it's worked into this biblical theme that entire album was. It's quite good.
I don't think that it is inherently shitty or dumb to write video game related songs.
No.
I think that like the Brental Floss approach to it I find pretty annoying, but like, I will admit that like the pop songs that Jonathan Colton wrote for like Portal, like when those came out, I really liked those songs. Like I still think those are good songs.
Yeah.
I'm done with them, and they're kind of, I don't necessarily what they signify, right? Like you have somebody and you look at their iPad and it's all like that. Like that's, maybe a little bit hinky. Like I would be a little questioning of that taste. But those are good songs.
Yeah.
I did in my very prolific kind of unlistenable Casio music thing, did an EP that were all video game songs. Many of which did not survive, but I lost that EP. But there were a couple of them that did, and the one that we played a lot, like, and I ended up playing with my band, was also based on Mario Brothers, about Princess being in another castle. And the concept was that Luigi was in love with the princess, but fakes his suicide to get out of the way of Mario. And the way he does it is he jumps out of the castle holding a star and activates it right before he hits the ground. So they see him jump off the parapet and think that he's dead, and then he goes into exile to leave Mario and the princess to their thing.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of songs that were like, dumber or worse. But I wish I had them. Like, I don't have very much stuff I've recorded that's just lost.
Right.
And I just don't have any copies of that. So like, I would love to have one, but I don't. But and I'm not also saying like, Brundle Voss sucks and my songs were very good. Like, this shit I made in my early mid-20s, like I don't think it was very good. But I just mean that it's not inherently dumb.
No, it's not like it is not a futile pursuit writ large. It's just like I can't, maybe because I haven't like looked for it, and everything I've been exposed to has been through DJ Switch at PRG.
Sure. And that's a poison chalice and a half. Like,
right.
it's a poison big gulp. Like, not because of DJ Switch's, like, you know, I'm not making fun of him for being a big dude. I'm just mean it's very like poison, and it's a very big gulp.
Yeah.
That you take over the course of a weekend.
Yeah. And so I'm, you know, like there might be good stuff. I'm not really that interested in it. If I came across it,
I'm not going to pursue it either. The big thing too is like, you know, I know Brental Floss, I know some of those like parody people. A lot of this stuff happens in the field of like nerd rap, which I think is, you know, as far as like things I find very odious that also, you know, I have dabbled in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that that is not something I'm interested in.
Right.
But there are a lot of what I am totally there for is like Wu-Tang Clan members talking about bringing up video games and shit.
Yeah.
And their songs like that is very cool to me when that happens. Like I'm way into like sincere rap songs that drop video games, because all those dudes are huge dorks and like video games a lot.
Yeah.
That's very cool to me.
Way into it.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a way to do it. It would be like, you know, maybe it would be like Brental Floss, but Brental Floss doesn't write original songs. Like trying to imagine what Pac-Man Fever would be like in 2017 is very strange.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
if somebody actually, you know,
it'd be easier to launder the video game-ness, right? Just because games are more complex now.
I think that makes it harder to launder the video game-ness. Like it would be less like a walkthrough, but it would be, you know, you'd be describing plots instead of describing mechanics.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking about it, you know, as the Enoch song from the Mountain Goats. Like, yeah, like you just do one of those because like that's a, you know, pretty, you know, complex game as far as like what's depicted in it and stuff. You know, you can just kind of talk about themes broadly or put it from the point of view of one character without straight up saying like it's a Mass Effect.
Yeah,
it's a Mass Effect.
With the Mass Effect, it powers the ship. The ship goes and the Mass Effect rips. We go across the country fighting reavers left and right. Gonna have sex with my companions tonight.
It's a Mass Effect.
But I think that like the Mountain Goats approach to it, which is kind of to obfuscate it, like he could do, or this is not. I like John Darnielle. I was gonna say something that sounded like attributing something unique to him.
Step careful, you. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say something that sounded like the opposite. I was gonna say something that sounded like I was overblowing him as being the only person in the world who can do this, which is not the case.
No.
Like I feel like other people could take a very theme first and blending approach where like this is a little bit Silent Hill, but I tied in some Bible stuff and some character stuff and some theme stuff. Like that's not exactly what I mean for this. Like he could do that about Donkey Kong too.
Yeah.
You know, that has nothing to do with modern games. That just has to do with
John
like
Darnielle.
Well, again, but like I don't think that's unique. Like it has to do with like that specific sensibility.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something that is more like has its intention on its sleeve.
Yeah.
You know, like the dumb Mass Effect song we made up. Like something like that would be extremely weird to see.
Yeah.
But if you were going to try to do it, now would be the time, because I could see like kids eating that shit up on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't done it, but like if I put Minecraft song or like Five Nights at Freddy's song into YouTube, Jesus Christ.
I mean, Gary, like remember when we were at that fun center a few years back, and like we were sitting there eating brown food in the restaurant there, and then just like on a loop on the big screen there was just this Gangnam Style parody called Minecraft Style.
There was that. Yeah. So I guess this is maybe already happening just for kids.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. Mad balls, get the mad balls. Gonna
babble with the babbles.
Yeah, 79 hours of content. Yeah. Yeah, it is extremely weird, but I'm glad this exists. Thank you for taking this journey with me.
Yeah, no, this like I said at the beginning, this is an inspired choice. I wouldn't have initially, thought of it, but like the second you said it as we were listening to do the Donkey Kong or whatever over this, I was like, yeah, perfect. Good. So, yeah, no need to thank me. This has been fun for me. I hope it's been fun for the listeners.
I hope so too.
I just, I really like talking about music on podcasts with you. Yeah, it's fun.
To talk about music. Yeah. And we'll be next month when we do it, it'll be something more traditional as well.
Right.
Undoubtedly something in a visual medium.
Yeah.
So, thanks for listening. If you have this through Patreon, thank you for patronizing us. If you bought this from the store, thank you for buying it from the store. Yeah. There are many other things for you to buy. give that a shot. I think some of our best stuff comes out kind of behind a paywall, which is that's how we get you. Yeah.
So like we've said in the past, like we are kind of taking some recommendations and stuff. It's weird. We Gary, you went into the premium channels or the premium shows channel in Slack. You're like, hey, you're never going to guess what we've done. And people are like, oh, is it this? Is it this? Is it this? That'd be a good way to solicit recommendations.
Oh yeah. Cause I'm not trying to spoil and I don't know when we'll do it, but somebody said Clue and like, we got to do Clue.
Oh, we absolutely have to.
Like, I think that is actually like a pretty good adaptation of a board game.
Yeah.
Like, and I love that movie.
Oh, it's so good.
Like I love that
Michael
movie.
McKean. Come on.
Yeah. I think it's very funny and very clever.
Yeah.
So, maybe Clue,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I'm not saying it won't be the next time either. It'll just depend on what we feel like doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we are interested in suggestions for things like this, especially things that are good.
Yes.
Like that. Like it is, we don't want to turn this into just the bad movie time.
No.
We have fun with those episodes too, but I don't want all to be that. You know what I was thinking this weekend? I went and last night I went and watched Baby Driver again.
Okay.
And there's a trailer for the new Tomb Raider, and it looks kind of okay.
Huh.
Have you seen that trailer?
No.
We should at some point, like that would be a fun thing too, if that's in second run theaters or reasonable to get and do something kind of new.
Mm-hmm. You're going to make it so hard for me to take notes.
Yeah. Yep. You sit in the back row, you'll be okay.
Okay.
But it's based on the 2013 game, and like the trailer looked kind of like a fun action movie. So
nice.
Kind of surprised
if it's as good as the first one.
Yeah, exactly. Which was also not the worst thing in the world.
Right. Yeah.
You know? Had some kind of fun. Had some fun with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've thought about some of the newer ones, like the WoW movie might be a weird one.
That would also be so. We're not out of things to do, but we just are interested in things that didn't occur to us.
Right.
As this show gets towards its double digits.
Right.
Yeah,
it'll get towards its. Yeah, it's about there now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff that we wouldn't get just by Googling bad video game movie or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So hit us up on Twitter or Slack if you want to share that stuff with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably about it.
I think so.
I'm gonna go grab some dinner and go to band practice.
Oh, I'm gonna go reheat some spaghetti. So
yay! Good night, everybody.
Good night.